Today I am in the City of London, the high-flying financial district. But I'm not here to talk about banking. I'm here to go to this building behind me, which is called the Heron Tower. It is 40 stories high. And the reason why I'm going to the Heron Tower is because it's got the highest restaurant in the whole of London. In fact, I think it's the highest restaurant in the whole of the UK. What's amazing about this restaurant is that it's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It never closes. It's called Duck and Waffle. And the reason why it's called Duck and Waffle is because its signature dish is duck and waffle. So I'm going to head inside and get myself some duck and waffle. So let's go and see what it's all about. So here I am in the restaurant itself. Well, actually, I'm not in the restaurant. I'm in the bar part of the restaurant because the restaurant was fully booked because I've come on a Friday lunchtime and it's absolutely rammed. And the reason why it's rammed is because this is the highest restaurant in London. You can't get any higher. The Shard is higher as a building, but unfortunately, there isn't a restaurant at the top of the Shard. The one in the Shard is lower than this. So this is as good as it gets. In fact, there's a question as to whether this is the highest restaurant in the whole of the UK. There is a restaurant on the top of the Cairngorms, which is one of the mountains. Is that a proper restaurant compared to this? I don't know. Anyway, it's pretty high and the views are great. I've done a little walk around so you'll be able to see all the different views, but basically you can get a panoramic view of the whole of London here. Absolutely great. So I'm sitting in the bar. As you can see, it's a high table, so I've just got a stool, great views all the way through. I can see basically as far as the horizon, which is fantastic. So the reason that I've come to Duck and Waffle is obviously to have some duck and waffle. Now, why is it called Duck and Waffle, and have you ever heard of Duck and Waffle before? Well, this place was actually, this whole building was constructed and opened 2 weeks before the London Olympics in 2012, so just in time for all of those people who came over to watch the Olympics, and it wanted a signature restaurant at the top. So a guy called Daniel Doherty, who was a chef who was working in lots of high-end restaurants. He worked with Gary Rhodes and the Roux brothers and various other places. This was his first chance to put his stamp on something. So he wanted to come up with a dish that was a signature dish that people would remember. So he created Duck and Waffle, which is basically a leg of duck, so confit of duck. It's been cooked, slow cooked in lots of juices, and then it's served with waffle and then a maple sauce, mustard maple sauce with a duck egg on the top. So sunny side up duck egg. So haven't had that anywhere before, never even heard of it anywhere before. I've ordered that off the menu, so here is the menu. Now this place is right in the heart of the financial district in London. This is where all the movers and shakers are working, their big deals are being done, multi-billion pound dollar deals are being done. So people have a lot of money in this area, and this restaurant reflects that. It's not cheap. So the starters, well, they call them small plates here rather than starters. They range between £12 for harissa roasted cauliflower, which is what I've ordered because I really like a bit of cauliflower, right through to £21 for lobster roll, not having that. And then they have the big dishes, which are called for the table, and Duck and Waffle is the classic. That's what I'm going for. That's one of the reasons why I've come here, to have that dish. And that comes in at £26. And the most expensive on here is sirloin au pois, which is £49.50. So that's quite expensive. And then they've got some desserts, which we'll have later. So I placed the order, the food order's in, I'm going to have a look at the view, and I'll see you when the food arrives. Okay, so the food has now arrived, or some of it. The way that it works in this place is that when the food is ready, they bring it. So it comes in random order. So I did order some bread to start with, but it hasn't come yet. Now, this is the roasted harissa cauliflower, and as you can see, it is one giant piece of cauliflower. So normally when I have these sort of things, it's little florets that are all on the plate, but this is one huge one. It looks really good though, I do like it. Quite impressive. It's been nicely toasted, so let me take a slice of this off and see what it's like. So harissa, if you don't know it, is basically like a spicy paste, so you put it on things and it gives it a nice spicy Middle Eastern type flavour. So I've got a bit of a sauce with this as well, so I'll have a bit of that, have the full flavour. That's really tasty. It's really nicely cooked actually. Let's just turn it around to be able to see. It's sort of nice and soft inside, so it's crisp on the outside where we've had toasting, but nice and soft inside, really succulent. Quite spicy actually, getting that at the back of the throat. Right, let's see what the main course is like, because this is the signature dish of this restaurant. So, duck and waffle, exactly what it says on the tin. Duck, waffle, with a bit of duck egg on the top, and then I've got this maple sauce with mustard in it as well. So I'll just put that on the side to start with. I'll dip it in when I've cut through it. So let me just see if I can get a bit of everything on this. So the duck, as you can see, has been quite well cooked. It's quite crispy on the top. Comfort of duck is basically cooked in fat for a long time, usually 3 or 4 hours. So it gets all the flavours in there. So let me just take this apart and get a bit of everything. So get some of this duck. It's quite hard to cut it. Right, yep, there we go. Got a bit of duck. Let's get a bit of this waffle. Let me pour some of this maple sauce, maple syrup onto the waffle. There we go, put that on the waffle. And then a little bit of this duck egg. If I can cut it without knocking everything off. Okay. That's actually quite a big mouthful of food. Let's see if I can get it in. Quite a lot of food. That's quite interesting. The duck and the waffle. The duck is quite similar to bacon in terms of it's the same consistency because it's crispy on the outside. A little bit like if you've had waffles with bacon that's crispy. Really nice combination of sort of meat and sweetness. Now the mustard in the waffle, in the maple syrup sauce, doesn't really taste much of mustard. It's predominantly maple syrup. Oh, here's my bread. Thank you very much. There we go. Got the bread. That looks quite impressive. So the maple syrup is mostly maple rather than mustard. It's a good combination. The egg is a bit of a curveball because those two go really well together, the duck and the waffle. The egg, not so much. The egg and the waffle probably go well together, and maybe the duck and the egg, but I wasn't sure all three of them worked that well. But it's really interesting. There's going to be loads of different combinations here. Let me just have a little bit of just the duck and the waffle, because I think that's probably the best combo of all these things. Because we have that. Yeah, that works really well. Okay, I'll come back and finish that, but the bread has now arrived, so let's have a look at this bread. Now, this is the house bread, which comes with salt, and I've got a red pepper dip. Let's just rip a bit of this open. Oh, it's really hot. Ow, it's really hot. Okay, it's sort of puffed up a bit, and it's full of air, so it's really light and fluffy. It's a bit like sort of pita bread in consistency. Let's have a little bit of this. That's nice. That bread is incredibly hot. I'm not sure how they've cooked it, but it's really nice. I have to say, all three of these dishes, they're all quite interesting to look at. Very different to what you'd see in a standard restaurant. All really flavoursome, lots of intense flavours. That red pepper and feta dip, really nice. That harissa paste and the cauliflower, very tasty. And this is one of the most interesting dishes that I've had for quite a long time. So let me crack on, eat the rest of this food. The cameraman's going to have some of it as well. I'm not having all of this. It's quite a lot of food for me. And I'll see you again for the desserts. Okay, the dessert has now arrived. Now, there was lots of different options on the dessert front. They're all super expensive. And I've gone for the Black Forest Arctic roll because the waitress said it's the most popular, it was her favourite, and it does actually sound really nice. So sort of like a throwback to the old Black Forest that you used to get in the 70s and 80s. So it's dark chocolate sponge, cherry ice cream with some cherries in there, and then there's some chocolate soil at the bottom. This is £15, so let's have a look at what it's like. Oh, I'm going to need 2 spoons to get this, because the ice cream is actually quite hard. And that Arctic roll, interestingly, was very popular back in the 1970s. So basically what it is it's cake around an ice cream. So you have to serve it relatively quickly before the ice cream starts to melt. Keep this in the freezer. So I've got some of the ice cream, got some chocolate soil here, which is basically just grated chocolate. It looks quite nice, looks quite tasty. If you like dark chocolate and cherries, this would be right up your street, because there are actual pieces of cherry in it. Cherry ice cream, really intense flavour. The sponge around the outside is barely noticeable, apart from it's got loads of dark chocolate on it. And then the chocolate soil has got popping candy in it, so it's very chocolatey, and then you get that sort of bubbling sensation, not a bit like champagne in your mouth. It's really quite tasty. Let me have a little bit of that. It's quite decadent, quite indulgent, but nice. It's quite expensive, but it does taste quite expensive as well. It tastes almost worth it. So let me finish this. I'll let the cameraman have some as well, and I'll see you at the end for the bill. Right, here I am at the end of the meal, and I've got the bill. We'll come on to talk about that in a moment, but let's have a quick recap of the food. So everything came when it was ready, so they didn't really have a starter, main course and dessert, although the dessert did come at the end, because I didn't order it until after all the other food. So we had the bread, which was quite incredible actually. It looked amazing. It all puffed up, so it looked really amazing. When you ripped it open, there was lots of air in there. It was light and fluffy, really tasty, super hot as well, and that came with a really nice red pepper and feta dip, really tasty. Then had the harissa cauliflower, which I thought was going to come in little florets. That's what you normally get. However, it came as one big head of cauliflower. That was really flavoursome. The harissa was quite spicy. Cauliflower had been cooked really well, so it was hard on the outside, soft on the inside, just the way you'd want it. That was a really nice dish. And then the signature dish of this restaurant, it's called Duck and Waffle, and I had duck and waffle. So it was a leg of duck that had been cooked in its own juices for a long time, with waffles, and the waffle came with maple syrup, with mustard in there, and there was a fried duck egg on the top. What was that like? I thought the maple syrup, waffle and duck worked okay together. It was a little bit like bacon, sort of crispy, meaty type flavour with the sweetness of the waffle, so that was quite nice. I wasn't quite sure the egg worked, and it's probably just put in there as a bit of a gimmick to have a duck egg on the top. It's a nice little talking point. It didn't really go with the rest of the meal, but overall it was pretty decent, and it was quite nice. And then for pudding, I had the Arctic roll, which was a sort of throwback to the 70s, black cherry ice cream with real black cherries in there, dark chocolate on the outside, and then really nice soil with popping candy in there. So what about the bill? Well, as I said earlier on, this place is not cheap, because it's right in the heart of the financial district in London. People who come here don't really worry about cash, so they can afford to pay top dollar. That's what we've paid. So the total bill, well, I'll just remind you, the bread was £9, so that's expensive for bread. That's basically the price of a starter, or more than the price of a starter in a lot of places. The red feta dip was £5, quite a lot. The cauliflower was £12. The duck and waffle was £26, and the Arctic roll was £12. So all of them were very highly priced. So the total for food was £64, and then we've got a 15% service charge of £9.60, giving a grand total of £73.60. So we're looking at sort of £36-37 per person for me and the cameraman. That's quite a lot for lunch, and we didn't have a full meal each, we shared. So we had basically one starter, one main, one dessert. So if you were doubling down on that, you'd be paying £150 for lunch. That's a lot of money. But The views here are amazing, and one of the incredible things about this restaurant is that it's open 24/7, so it never closes. You can come here any time of the day or night and have that menu whenever you want. So if you're working late in London, I used to work in the financial district here, and quite often I would be working 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning looking for somewhere to go to eat. Back in those days, there was nowhere open apart from a couple of places down in Smithfield Market. So if this had been here, I would have come here back in those days. So I can imagine high-flying city types coming here. I can imagine people who've been partying, who are looking for somewhere cool to come. It's apparently really busy at sunrise and sunset, but sunrise particularly. So somewhere between 5 and 7 o'clock in the morning, a lot of people come in, watch the sun come up over the skyline of London. Quite a cool place to come to. So if you come into London, definitely check it out. It's got its own super fast lift. You can come up all 40 stories straight away, so it is quite a cool venue. You have to take that into account when you're looking at the bill and taking into account what score I'm going to give it. So overall, I think the food here is really good. It's expensive, but I knew that before I came because of where it is, so I can't really mark it down because of that. It's a great place to hang out. It's brilliant views, really cool vibe in here. I'm in the bar, but the restaurant part there is also really cool. I did a little walk around earlier, but it's a really nice venue. Couldn't get in there, it was too fully booked. But if you can get in there, I'd recommend that. So what's my overall score? Well, I'm going to give Duck and Waffle in London an 8 out of 10, which is a very solid score. And as you know, if it's above 7.5, I would come back, and I would definitely come back here. It's a great place to hang out. So thank you very much for watching this video all the way through to the end. If you haven't done so already, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and I'll see you again on the next video.